leaving us. There's so much hate inside, like we were made to love. If we can't see our problems, ain't no changing us. We need to love each other. But you hate your brother, like we were made to love.
Don't even know him, but when you see him, you got an evil eye. Can't humble down but correction because of your pride. Same story, we done seen it way too many times. We got numb to the pain, we don't even cry. I done seen folks laugh, happy when somebody died. Scared of love full of hate cause they traumatized. The reality's something you can't dramatize. We done took so many losses, we demoralized. Instead of hunger for the truth, we want more lies. Ain't no reverence, no respect for the Most High. The hate for each other, something that we can't hide. We think it's cool to have sex with a brother wife. She think it's normal and it's natural for her to be a thigh. We take it for granted that we even alive. What we want and God wants don't even align. See the error in our ways, we ain't even trying. We want followers on our G, not to follow Messiah. We look up to entertainers, worship idolize. Don't commit to the covenant, we commit crimes. That's why we stuck in this condition, we don't see the signs. You can't go off how you feel, you gotta use your mind. The most dangerous thing we got, but it's undermined. Can't force change, so I shine this little light of mine and lead an increase in change to the Most High.
Ain't no saving us. So much hate inside, like we were made to love. Yeah. We can see our problems, ain't no changing us. We need to love each other. But you hate your brother, like we were made to love.
Man, I know y'all gotta be tired of seeing your brothers getting killed, gunned down in the streets. You gotta be tired of going to prison, seeing your brothers going to prison. Y'all ain't tired of this? You don't want to try to do this another way? The Most High God got another way. We just got to be able to seek and find. And once we seek and find, we execute. Because it's got to be a better way. We got to learn how to love each other. Because all this hate ain't getting us nowhere. Am I the only one that see that this ain't getting us nowhere? We need to learn how to love, man.
No saving us. No saving us. Inside like we were made. Because we were made to love. Ain't no changing us. We need to love each other. While you hate your brother. Like we were made to love.
Most of your homies in the grave, you ain't tired of it. The other ones incarcerated, you ain't tired of it. You been in and out of jail, but you ain't tired of it. You don't learn from your mistakes because you too proud of it. Can't trust the common narrative because they lying to it. We hold our own self-bag, don't be blind to it. They keep blaming the white man, look at how we moving. All these self-inflicted wounds got us going through it. The most influential people, but look at what we doing. We push these same stereotypes all through the music. We say we tired, we ain't tired till we start improving. We supposed to separate ourselves, but we want inclusion. We always talk about change, we don't never do it. We always say we love God, we don't really do it. Our hard head came with consequences, we going through it. Till we learn to love each other, we gon' forever lose.
Ain't no changing us. Hate inside like we were made. We were made, no. See our problems, ain't no changing. We need to love each other. While you hate your brother, like we were made to love. 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 Like we were made to love.
If it ain't in your actions. Our human nature have us prone to get easily distracted. Your attempt is only as good as what you practice. If you a practitioner of sin, homie, you a bastard. It take obedience and faith to be a child of God. Confess with your mouth and not with works, that's what we call a fraud. Get on the narrow path, cause destruction is on the broad. Even then, watch for the hook, gotta keep up your guard. How you be quoting the Lord's prayer but don't submit to God? How you think you gon' get the kingdom if you don't play your part? How you gon' comprehend the light while living in the dark? How you gon' choose what's wrong or right if you don't study his law? If it ain't in Yah's will for me, it don't want it in mind, his laws and ways constantly be on my mind. Definitely ain't in mine. It don't want it in mind, his laws and ways constantly be on my mind.
Shalom, family. One of the most important things is for us to be holy. Now, what does that mean? That means we have to separate ourselves from the world and build unity and community. Grab yourself a shirt that expresses that message, and let's not just talk about it, let's live it.
Ain't no free will, it's all predestinated. From every death to every child brought forth through copulation. From the spouse that you choose to your current occupation, you either receive mercy or Yahweh's indignation. I can recollect on times that I could have been dead. Caught lacking, no strap, I had a knife instead. Played it cool, he wanted to kill me for how I used to move. Had to match his energy, portray that I was strapped too. But inside I'm praying to God, hoping he don't shoot. Still I'm whooping, telling him I know what he won't do. It ain't for everybody. 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 Yeah, many you call, but few get chosen. Matthew 22 and 14. My righteousness gonna exceed that of the Pharisees. Do what they. Shalom, 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 Mark, shalom, family.
Hey, shalom, Mark, shalom, family.
Khan, all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, whose name is Yahweh. When we do so by Shem Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, you know, we can't start a lesson without giving all praises and due honor to the Father. Shalom to everyone, and Salakia for the late start, but we'll make up for it on the back end because this ain't no deep, dark breakdown. This is a straight to the point lesson. The lesson is titled Gossip and Slander is More Serious Than You Think It Is. Mind your business. So we're going to be covering how, you know, it can be, people can take for granted how serious it is to find yourself being a gossiper and how gossip can actually turn into slander when you don't have full details about what you're talking about. So all praise to the Most High, the water for everybody that joined. Grace and peace and blessings to you, to Sister Wendy, Brother Drayson, Brother YP, Sister Trapikia, Sister Kanaya, and Sister Princess Zion Dree. Shalom, family. Peace and blessings to everybody. And to those of you that may be watching and may have not commented yet, peace and blessings to you also. And like the pinned comment says, make sure to like the heart the video and share. We appreciate all your support in advance. Peace and shalom. We really do appreciate that your support. We don't just say that just to say it. We appreciate it because this is what helps the message get out to more people. All praise, honor, glory to the Most High. And Ak, if you got anything you want to add, you can.
Not too much, man. Of course, all praises to the Most High first and foremost. And I would just echo the same sentiments. You know, if on a YouTube side of it, if you haven't already, make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, hit the bell so that you get the notifications, everything like that. And just as the brother said, you know, when we say we appreciate your support, it's definitely not just lip service, but we truly do appreciate your support from a sincere place. You know, so definitely big thanks to y'all. All praises to the Most High for y'all, and peace and blessings upon each and every household. But I'll pass it back to you, brother.
All praise to the Most High. And I don't have anything else. We can go ahead and get started with the lesson. If you could get your screen shared.
Con.
And we're going to go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 3 and verse 11. But before you do that, I want to bring up the definition for gossip.
Con. The Google definition?
Yes, sir.
Con. All right. So it says gossip, casual or unconstrained conversation or reports about other people, typically involving details that are not confirmed as being true. Then it says engage in gossip.
So it says casual or unconstrained conversation. So casual conversation, just lackadaisical, talking about any and everything, and then you start to delve into talking about other people. It says or reports about other people. So hearsay. You heard this about this person, so now we're gonna talk about it. Typically involving details that are not confirmed as being true. And when you start to go along and you start reciting and repeating this information, you start to become a talebearer. You start to become someone that's slandering another brother or sister, because these are not confirmed details about what you're uttering to other people. And Ak, if you could, let's go to 2 Thessalonians 3 and 11.
Con. It's the book of 2 Thessalonians. Let me put it on the screen. Chapter 3 and verse 11. For we hear that there are some which walk among you disorderly, working not at all, but are busybodies.
Some which walk among you disorderly. So there's an order that's supposed to be followed. And in 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, the understanding is the way that you would maintain order would be by following the law, statutes, and commandments, doing the things that the Most High God approves of. One thing he doesn't approve of is slander and gossip, because you need to be finding something resourceful to do with your time to help build up the kingdom. It says, for we hear that there are some which walk among you disorderly, working not at all. Say they ain't working at all. They're not doing any work. They're not doing any work to build up the kingdom. They're not doing any labor work. It says, but are busybodies. This is what they're working themselves in. This is what they're tiring themselves out doing, worrying about other people's affairs and what they got going on. Grab busybodies in the Greek.
Con.
What's the T? Our people, man.
Con. This is a G4020. It's a periergazomai, and it's a verb, and biblical usage says to bustle about uselessly, to busy oneself about trifling, needless, useless matters, used apparently of a person officiously inquisitive about others' affairs. Then the definition reads, to work all around, i.e. bustle about, meddle, be a busybody.
So this is what's going on. This is what is going on. They're rebuking people that are doing these things. It says use apparently of a person officiously inquisitive about others' affairs. Always worried about what other people are doing, what other people got going on, when they need to be focused on what they got going on. One thing about like the life we live in this day and age and being in captivity is it's too much going on. It should be too much going on in our life that we're concerned with to be concerned about everybody else. We shouldn't be busybodies in other men's affairs. We should be busybodies for the kingdom. Busybodies in our own life, trying to make sure we got things together. Busybodies in examining ourselves, making sure we walking upright, because we can be judged with that same judgment that we're judging people with. Let's go to 1 Timothy 5:13, because the word busybodies is here also.
God, this is the book of First Timothy, chapter 5, and verse number 13. And withal they learn to be idle, wandering about from house to house, and not only idle, but tattlers also and busybodies, speaking things which they ought not.
Right, right. Speaking things which they ought not. They're busybodies in other men's matters, and they're speaking things that they should not speak. Why shouldn't they be speaking these things? Because 9 times out of 10, these things aren't true. And plus, there's no virtue in these things. What's the point of speaking these things and being busy with other men's matters? Now, this word for busybodies in the Greek is a completely different Greek word. Let's grab that Greek word in the Greek.
God, this is G.
Word in the Greek. Go ahead.
God, this is G4021, periergas, and this is an adjective. Biblical usage says busy about trifles and neglectful of important matters, especially busy about other folks' affairs, a busybody of things impertinent and superfluous, of magical arts. Then definition says working all around, i.e., officious, meddlesome, neuter, plural, magic, busybody, curious arts.
Completely different word, but it has a lot of the same usage and meaning for what it means. But what it says in the first one, it says busy about trifles and neglectful of important matters. That's the key point. Because they're busy about these other things, they're neglecting the important things they should be focused on. We got to look at ourselves first before we can even start to judge our people in righteousness. And 9 times out of 10, if you're gossiping and you're slandering somebody, you don't have righteousness anyway. You're walking in wickedness. So it says, especially busy about other folks' affairs, a busybody. And like it says in the next entry, of things impertinent and superfluous. Superfluous just means it's useless. It's something that's not fruitful. It's an unfruitful thing. So there's nothing that's going to come from us being busybodies, us gossiping and slandering our brothers and sisters. There's nothing good that's going to come from that. And if you want to add something, you can.
Just a quick point. I'll bring this out in Psalm chapter 50. I'll start at verse 16. We pull it up in the RSV. Just to add to the point, excellent point thus far. This is the book of Psalm chapter 50, verse 16. It says, "But to the wicked, God says, what right have you to recite my statutes or take my covenant on your lips?" And typically, when I hear brothers
on the screen too, King.
Oh, Slakia. I thought yes, my bad, Slakia. But typically when I hear this read, it'll be applied to like other nations or like, Esau or whatever. They'll say, what right does Esau have to recite what God's word, right? But it's just speaking about the wicked overall. So this could apply to Israelites, and within the direct context, it very well fits Israelites.
Right.
And I'm going to continue on, verse 17, it says, "For you hate discipline and you cast my words behind you. If you see a thief, you are a friend of his, and you keep company with adulterers." James speaks about that same thing, I believe, in James chapter 4, when he speaks about being friends with the world. You're at enmity with God, for you're friends with adulterers, roughly paraphrasing. That's James chapter 4. But watch this, verse 19. "You give your mouth free rein or for evil, and your tongue frames deceit. You sit and speak against your brother. You slander your own mother's son." So this is something that definitely applied to our people, still applies to our people unto this very day. And you could read literally in the word of God, Jeremiah chapter 6, where the Lord, there was impending judgment on our people when you read the book of Jeremiah chapter 6. And it literally said that we were walking with slanders. So like this was something that we've been doing, and that the Lord has gotten up with us about as far as judgment is concerned. So it's definitely more, like as the title says, it's more serious than somebody thinks, because they just, like how the brother said, they think it's, it's just a tea. But I know the brother's gonna go into it. But when you really look at what the word slander means, or when you go into the Hebrew, as far as what the law says, it's really gonna open your eyes about how serious this particular topic is, and how much people do it.
Right.
But I'll pass it back to you, brother.
Con, all praises. And that's exactly where I'm headed to, is the law, because most people don't understand or even know that gossip and slander is in the law. The Most High shuns that. He don't want us to be talebearers. All right, let's go to Leviticus 19 and 16.
This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 19, verse 16. Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people, neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord.
Con, all praises. So there's 2 points and 2 different I won't even say 2 different understandings, but there's an understanding you get in the latter clause of the verse from what the first part of the verse says. It says, thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people, neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am Yahweh. This is giving us the sense of, like they say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Leviticus 19 and 16 is telling us that our words can stand against the blood of our neighbor. Our words can actually hurt our brothers and sisters. So this is why the Most High is against it. And we're going to get deeper into why the Most High is against this. All right, let's go to talebearer in the Greek.
God.
And shalom, Sister Diamond. All praise to the Most High.
God, this is H. Slacky, I don't got it on the screen. This is H7400 Rakil, and it's a noun. And usage says slander, slanderer, talebearer, informer. Then the definition says a scandalmonger as traveling about, slander, carrying tales, talebearer.
So this ain't just talking about somebody that tells you fiction stories that they wrote in a fiction book they wrote. He's a talebearer. No, this is someone who's going around telling lies on their brothers and sisters, slandering. It says a slanderer, slanderer, talebearer, informer, going and concealing a matter that may not even be true, or even if it is true, carrying the information, vital information, private information that someone else may have concealed. They're going around and carrying that information on. And when it goes from this person, it goes to the next person, it goes to the next person. And y'all know we played a game in elementary school where you would whisper something in the classmate ear in front of you or behind you or whatever. And they go to the next person. It goes all the way around the classroom until it gets to the last person. And then the teacher be like, okay, so what was the message? That's what it's called, telephone con. And the message is completely different from the message that it began with. The first message is completely different. Like, it don't even sound nothing like what the person said. So this is how gossip works. And this is how gossip turns into slander. And slander can hurt our brothers and sisters just as well as gossip can hurt our brothers and sisters. Ak, if you could grab slander, just the definition for slander. Just I guess you can go to Webster's. Khan, brother YP say, I know brothers who would have lost their life and freedoms because somebody spoke on situations they didn't know about, spreading gospel. Khan, and I can attest to the same things. Loose lips sank ships, literally. It bring down. I mean, we know that even with the way the streets go as far as like people, snitching. Once somebody says something and reveals information, a whole entire group of people lives can change. It don't even have to be true. They can just believe this witness. But go ahead,
Khan. This is slander from Merriam-Webster. It says to utter slander against, defame, and then it says the utterance of false charges or misrepresentations which defame and damage another's reputation. A false and defamatory oral statement about a person.
The utterance of false charges or misrepresentations which defame and damage another's reputation. A false and defamatory oral statement about a person. We know that with our people, there's a high suicide rate. People have mental issues. Things like gossiping and slandering people can attest to these mental issues and make a person want to kill themselves. We've seen people kill themselves because of how people viewed them, the things that were said about them, because they were being bullied, things of that nature. So this gossiping and slander is definitely injurious to our brothers and sisters. And if you want to add a point, you can. Salaki, my bad. Go back to tailbearer in the Hebrew because I forgot to grab a point there. Go to the Buisness Hebrew Chaldee lexicon.
Is it on the screen?
La is still on the definition for slander.
Nice. It's a little bit frozen on my end. Is it showing up now?
Not yet.
Okay.
If it don't show up, you can just read it, or if it's taking its time, I mean, it may pop up after you start reading.
Let me try this. So for the Buisness Chaldee lexicon, it says slander, detraction. Then it says C rakal, number 2, whence rakil, slanderers, Ezekiel 22:9, to go about for the sake of slandering. Then it mentions Leviticus 19:16.
So this is showing the intention behind the talebearing, is that they're going about for the sake of slandering, for the sake of being injurious to their brothers and sisters. So the attitude and the energy behind it is to harm. It isn't because they made a mistake. Oh, I didn't know it wasn't true. No, you went about with the intent to do harm. And you can add a point if you need to. And shalom, brother, the Houston Brew.
Just.
And in telephone, some people would deliberately change the original message. That's how gossip works. And slander
works. Yeah, and excellently stated. Hopefully my screen is now working. But in the definition for the word slander, it actually, when you look at the Strong's definition, it says a scandal monger. Now, when you break this down, the suffix monger is in reference to, or the second part of the compound word for scandal monger, which is monger, is in reference to basically a merchant or a dealer or a trafficker, when you look at it etymologically speaking. Now, when you go to the word scandal etymologically and look at it, let's just look at it. It says 1580s, damage to one's reputation. And we actually just went through it in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary. We literally just went through it, but damage to one's reputation, same thing. So imagine placing these things together. One that deals in damaging one's reputation. That's like, it's almost like that's their profession, so to speak. And this gives, like as a brother mentioned, this is malicious gossip, malicious defaming of said persons. And as a brother said, it's not just a thing of, oh well, my bad, I ain't know, but this is, something malicious, and you're spreading around, quote unquote, the tea that could actually hurt somebody. And so you have in that example, things that could be spread around like rumors and just false narratives completely, and things just out of context, that could hurt people's reputation, or even worse, get people harmed in real life. Now, what were you gonna go back to Leviticus 19:16?
Lie.
So, so there's a part in that second clause when it says, "Neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor." Something interesting with that is in context to, like, you being like a upright witness, quote unquote. You can be one that can cause the death of your neighbor via a false witness, and you could possibly save your neighbor's life via a true witness or upright witness. And you have an example, and I know Peter. He's like, if he was around, he would probably be like, "Yo, man, y'all got to keep bringing this up, man." But it's the scriptures that are there for our learning, right? So this is the book of Matthew, chapter 26 and verse 60. It says, "But found none, yea, they many false witnesses came, yet found they none. At the last came two false witnesses." And in context, this is, to testify against the Messiah, to get him put to death. So verse 61, it says, "And said, this fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God and to build it in 3 days. And the high priest arose and said unto him, Answerest thou nothing? What is it which these witnesses against thee? But Yahushua, or Jesus, held his peace. And the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure thee by the living God, that thou tell us whether thou be the Christ, the Son of God. Jesus saith unto him, Thou hast said. Nevertheless, I say unto you, hereafter shall ye see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power and coming in the clouds of heaven. Then the high priest rent his clothes, saying, He hath spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now ye have heard his blasphemy. What think ye? They answered and said, He is guilty of death. Now, the extremely telling part about all of this is that when you go up a few verses, look at verse 58. It says, But Peter followed him afar off unto the high priest's palace and went in and sat with the servants to see the end. So Peter was right there. And Peter didn't testify and say, oh, no, he didn't blaspheme. Christ was upright. Jesus was upright. He was a righteous man. He didn't do none of those things that he's being blamed for. But he actually was silent, and he didn't act as an upright witness. So when you look at what the law actually says, when it says, to not stand against the blood of your neighbor, you don't first off give a false witness, which those people did, but also you don't stand idly by while your neighbor's life is in danger. That's even what the NLT says. And in that context of being an upright witness or being a false witness, you could easily save your neighbor's life by giving an upright testimony. That's why, like, even the law, when it speaks about, like, I think in Leviticus 5, it gives you, if there's sin amongst you and you're called to witness, and if you don't speak on it, then you bear the sin. So, this is another point of, like, not only do you, like, are you called to not slander or gossip, but in certain circumstances where people's lives could be on the line, you should have the honor and the integrity to speak up and do the right thing, quote unquote. But I just wanted to bring that point out. But I yield back to you, King.
Khan, all praises, beautiful points made. And just like we're highlighting in verse 16 in Leviticus 19, that this bearer has the intentions to do harm with their words. When you continue reading, It says, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Verse 17. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. What causes a person to want to slander a brother or sister is hate in their heart for that person. And instead of, because let's just say, hypothetically, there's a situation where a brother or sister is doing wrong, maybe going against the commandments, and someone views them, they see them, and they're like, man, look at him. And then they go and whisper it to the neighbor about what he did. But what should he have done? He should have rebuked his neighbor and not suffer that sin upon him, instead of turning into a gossiper and a slanderer. And just looking at the intention behind someone just saying they want to slander someone, it could be something as simple, man, I can't stand the way he smiled. I hate the way he laughed. Oh, she just get on my nerve. And because they don't like you, they don't want other people to like you. But we're going to continue going forward. We're going to look at an account in Torah that shows slander going on with someone that was supposedly supposed to be close to this brother. And this is Numbers 12. All right, let's go to Numbers 12, verses 1 through 3.
God, it's
You
a
can
book
bring
of
that scripture out first if you want to.
This is a book of Proverbs, chapter 27, verse 5. Open rebuke is better than secret love. And just to add on to the brother's point, that's just literally echoing that same sentiment, because you could honestly save somebody's life, and of course, it's honestly our duty to do so. Like we're not to bear sin because of we see somebody going off, and we just now we got little comments about them, and we're just going to allow them to remain in sin. And then now we're going to add sin unto sin because now we're talking about them. But we're actually supposed to step up to them. I think the NLT says confront them directly and tell them about their transgression. I think Isaiah 58, it gives that same sentiment, and that don't even mean you got to, curse anybody out or, scream at people or nothing like that. But you just can be direct with people and let them know, hey brother, you going off right here, you need to work on X, Y, and Z, because I don't want to see you get put to death. I don't want to see you get destroyed, brother. Like it's supposed to be out of love, so they shouldn't and also the other way, you shouldn't be like, man, that brother dope brother, man, but he be doing this, man. But then you just never say anything to him. It's just like, man, I think that brother dope. He just be going off, but you don't never say nothing to him. You just let him go off, and then he might even genuinely be thinking he on point, whatever the case is, and you just like, I ain't gonna say nothing to him. Nah, that's wrong. You're supposed to, let them know so that they can, be better, so that they can please the Most High as well, because that's what all of our goals should be, and we should want that for one another.
Khan, all praises, all praises. And like sis said, big facts. Khan. Numbers 12, 1 through 3 out.
God, this book of Numbers, chapter 12, starting at verse 1. And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman. And they said, hath the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses? Hath he not spoken also by us? And the Lord heard it. Now the man Moses was very meek above all the men which were upon the face of the earth.
So Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses. Why did they speak against Moses? Because he married an Ethiopian woman. So this has to stem from jealousy because of Moses' position, because he was over them. He was the leader of all of Israel. Miriam and Aaron, they were close to Moses. This is something he wouldn't even expect to happen with these two that are close to him. Because if I'm not mistaken, Miriam's his sister, right?
Come.
And Aaron's his second in charge. So it's like your own people looking at you in a way and gossiping among themselves. What was posed, the question that was posed was, Have the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses? Have he not spoken also by us? And it says Yahweh heard it. And us understanding, everyone understands at this point in time, the Most High was speaking only to Moses directly. He wasn't speaking to Miriam and Aaron, even though they had favor with the Most High, but he wasn't speaking directly to them. He didn't choose them to lead the nation of Israel. He chose Moses, and for good reason. Now it says in verse 3, now the man Moses was very meek above all the men which were upon the face of the earth. A lot of people look at this word meek and they assume it means that he's weak. This don't mean that he's weak. It just means he's humble. He's lowly. And so with him being humble and lowly, he understood what they said about him, but he didn't check them. He didn't feel the need to. So as we continue going forward, we're going to see what happens. He didn't have to check him. I'll read verses 4 through 8.
Continuing on verse 4. And the Lord spake suddenly unto Moses and unto Aaron and unto Miriam, come out ye three unto the temple of the congregation, the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out. And the Lord came down in the pillar of the cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house. With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches. In the similitude of the Lord shall he behold. Wherefore then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?
All praises. So they knew better. They knew the Most High was only speaking directly to Moses. And the Most High poses a question to them. It says, and I'll read verses 6 through 8. It says, and he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house. If he's faithful in all the Most High's house, that means he does everything the Most High tells him to do. He's not breaking any laws. So them harping on the point of him marrying an Ethiopian woman, it wasn't a sin for Moses to marry an Ethiopian woman, regardless of it may have not been favorable to Miriam and Aaron, where the Most High didn't say anything was wrong with it. He wasn't in sin by doing so. So in verse 7, it says, my servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all my house. With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches. And the similitude of the Lord shall he behold. Wherefore then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? So the Most High ain't speaking to Moses in similitudes, no dark speeches. So Moses knows what is approved by the Most High. There's no guessing. He knows. It says, then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? You know all these things. You know I speak to him directly. You know he's favored by me, but you still spoke against my servant. And that's got to show that they weren't using their right sense. They weren't in their right mind at this point in time to do these things. Why? Because there was jealousy. There was jealousy in Miriam and Aaron in order for them to look at Moses, who the Most High was dealing directly with, as if they were, that it was possible that they could be on his level, because they posed that question, or Miriam posed that question, because the way that it's written, is showing that she was the instigator or the initiator of the said accusation. Have he not spoken also by us? With them saying, have he not spoken also by us, they're trying to make themselves equal to Moses, which we know there was no way they could have been equal to Moses. So if you could, let's go to Deuteronomy 7, because we're going to look at where we see that dealing with certain nations of women would have been considered unlawful according to the Most High. And let's read
Con,
verses 1 through 5.
this book of Deuteronomy chapter 7, starting at verse 1. When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites before thee, the Hittites, Slovakia, and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly. But thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
All praises. So we see 7 nations that the Most High has highlighted and said, hey, when you go into these lands and you conquer these people, don't make covenants with these women. Don't destroy their altars, destroy them. Do not deal with them. We see differently in other accounts. We see where when we were to conquer other nations that we could have made marriages with them or taken them into a covenant together. But with these nations, the Most High specified, do not make these covenants with these people. And Ak, you can make a point if you would like to too.
No, that's 100%. And I'm glad you brought this out, because the nation, or the woman that, or the nation that the woman comes from that Moses dealt with, wasn't from any of these specified nations. So Moses wasn't doing anything wrong by, being with that particular woman. And honestly, even as the scripture said, he was a humble man, and that's what the Lord desires, within a person as far as the characteristic is concerned. Um, but with something I was thinking about, in that text, is when you read Exodus 14:31, this in the NLT, says, when the people of Israel saw the mighty power that the Lord had unleashed against the Egyptians, they were filled with awe before him. They put their faith in the Lord and in his servant Moses. So Aaron and Miriam, they would have been a part of those people. And the reason why we know that is because in the next chapter, we literally see they're engaging, at least Miriam, she's engaging in the song, in a song of praise, of the Most High, and, in their deliverance. So they're obviously acknowledging the works that the Most High did and his servant that he used to help catapult their salvation and things like that. But they got to a point of, being comfortable enough to speak against Moses in a malicious fashion. And we see that the Most High, when you read, I think later on in Numbers chapter 12, the Most High, he doesn't deal kindly with them for that particular situation. I believe, I believe them, like a lot of people, they would look at that as like, oh, they just, talking behind somebody's back. But the Lord dealt harshly with Miriam. He smit her with leprosy.
We're gonna read it too, Ak.
Oh, kind of select. But yeah, it's like, again, like the title says, it's more serious than what you think. But I'll pass it back to you, brother.
Ak. So read verse 9 and 10.
God, this book of Numbers, chapter 12, starting at verse 9. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against them, and he departed. And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle. And behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous.
So the Most High has smited Miriam with to be leprous. And we're going to continue reading. I just want to read this next verse and I'll read it out.
Okay.
It says, and Aaron said unto Moses, alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us wherein we have done foolishly and wherein we have sinned. So this was a sin. This ain't just, oh, you talking behind somebody back, it's all good. No, the Most High don't want us to do this. And he placed pretty much a skin disease on Miriam for said action, this gossiping and slandering. And we're going to look at Leviticus 13. I want to look at Leviticus 13 because one would ask, why doesn't anything happen to Aaron? Well, there's a reason. The Most High had order for things, and Aaron was a priest. He was a high-ranking priest because he was right behind Moses. So let's look at Leviticus 13 verses 44 through 46 so we can understand why the Most High didn't deal with Aaron the way that he dealt with Miriam. But we have to understand the Most High still, he's going to deal with Aaron. We have to all pay for the consequences to our actions. Go ahead. Verses 44 through 46.
God, it's the book of Leviticus chapter 13 verse 44. He is a leprous man. He is unclean. The priest shall pronounce him utterly unclean. His plague is in his head. And the leper in whom the plague is, his clothes shall be rent, and his head bare, and he shall put a covering upon his upper lip. And he shall cry, and shall cry, unclean, unclean. All the days wherein the plague shall be in him, he shall be defiled. He is unclean. He shall dwell alone. Without the camp shall his habitation be.
The Most High needed to use Aaron for what he needed to use him for. He couldn't separate him from the camp at this point in time. We just leaving Egypt. He needs Aaron in position. When you think about it, what happened? Moses had to go up to Mount Sinai, and Aaron had to be left to tend to Yashala, even though they still went off and he created a calf for him. He threw gold into a furnace and he created a calf for him when they wanted something visibly to be able to worship the Most High. But he still had to fulfill his role in his office. So another key thing we see though is that when someone does have the leprosy, they're deemed unclean. And this uncleanliness that Miriam had, it came from her being disobedient to the Most High. In the same way, the Most High views us as unclean when we're disobedient to him. It makes us spiritually unclean. And we got to make sure this ain't in us. We got to make sure this gossip, this slander isn't in us, because then if it is, like we discussed earlier, that means there's hate in your heart for your brothers and your sisters. And Ak, if you want to add anything, you can.
No, nothing to add, King. Beautiful lesson thus far.
Con. So let's go to Exodus 31, verses 12 through 14.
Okay. It's the book of Exodus, chapter 31, starting at verse 12. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am the Lord that doth sanctify you. Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it is holy unto you. Every one that defileth it shall surely be put to death, for whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people.
Right. So for us breaking the Sabbath, the Most High called for us to be put to death. And when you look at the aspect of us being put to death for breaking the Sabbath, this is being cut off from your people. Just like what we saw with leprosy. With leprosy, you would be cut off from your people. Not indefinitely. You wouldn't be murdered. You wouldn't be killed. So like not murdered, but killed. You wouldn't be killed because you have leprosy. But as long as you have leprosy, you couldn't enter into the camp. Leprosy represents uncleanliness. Not keeping the Sabbath represents uncleanliness, but it calls for your death. Doing something that's unclean to the Most High and just continually doing it while you're living here on earth causes for you to be cut off. It causes for you to be put to death eventually. So this just shows the importance of something that's as small, that people may look at as small anyway, as gossip and slander. Is bigger than what people think it is. That's why the title is Gossip and Slander. It's more serious than you think it is. Mind your business, because the Most High is going to judge us for being disobedient to his commandment. And Aki, if you want to add something, you can.
No, that's yeah, because like even the verbiage here, like with the cutting off, and then even with having leprosy, how you're cut off there. You see, definitely distinct concepts, because you are supposed to, like, physically die, of course, and you're put without the camp and things like that. But you actually die from, because, you broken the Sabbath, or that's what the judgment is supposed to be. But, as you see with leprosy, and this is just like a side note, shout out to Law and Order and things like that, because, we dive into those things. But when you look at what happens with leprosy, you're put without the camp all the days that you have leprosy, as you read in Leviticus 13. And you see an example with, I believe it was King Uzziah, who he went into the temple and he lit some incense, just 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 going off, and and the Lord struck him with leprosy, and he was set apart from the camp for the rest of the days of his life. So like, he didn't literally die, but because of that uncleanness, now he's set apart and he's exiled. Like there's a particular punishment that has happened to him. So that punishment that Miriam received, that wasn't anything like, but most people, they would look at the crime as like, oh, she just for gossiping, that's all that, or just for talking behind Moses' back. But it is that serious. You know what I'm saying? So definitely wanted to uh you know um highlight that point as well. But you got it out.
Khan, all praises. And Sister Wendy asked the question, so would vitiligo be considered leprosy? No, because leprosy would actually be like a bacterial infection, and vitiligo would just be like an absence of melanin. So two completely different things, even though they look similar. But yeah, let's go to, did we go to, yeah, we just went to Exodus 31. Let's go to 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 3 through 5.
This is the book of 2 Timothy chapter 3, starting at verse 3. Without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away.
Con. So, of course, this chapter begins saying that in the last days, we were going to see these things come to pass. Not that they weren't already existing in the world, but it was going to get worse. And we see this in this day and age. It says, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers. That's a slanderer, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good. That can also be someone that's a slanderer. Traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. If we have true godliness, we're not going to be gossiping and slandering. We're not going to be talking against our brothers and sisters, because we understand that the words that we say, they can actually cause harm. People can be affected by rumors. and things can come back in a way that it can affect their entire life for the rest of their life. Let's get Matthew 15, verses 18 and 19.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 15, starting at verse 18. But those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies.
But those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witnesses, and blasphemies. And like we spoke on earlier, when you're engaging in these things, it's from your heart, and you're hating your brother in your heart. So it says, out of the heart proceed evil thoughts. And if we have these type of things in our heart, there's no way we can inherit the kingdom. Give me James 4 and 11.
This is the book of James, chapter 4, verse 11. Speak not evil one of another, brethren. He that speaketh evil of his brother, and judgeth his brother, speaketh evil of the law, and judgeth the law. But if thou judge the law, thou art not a doer of the law, but a judge.
Speak not evil one of another, brethren. He that speaketh evil of his brother and judgeth his brother speaketh evil of the law and judgeth the law. We covered in the law that the Most High isn't pleased with a talebearer, which is someone that's a slanderer of his brother. So we still do those things, and we look at it as, oh man, isn't that wrong with me saying that? That means we're becoming a judge of the law. But if we judge the law, it says we're not a doer of the law, but a judge. And there's no greater judge than the laws of the Most High, because that's his righteous judgment, his instruction for us on how we're supposed to govern ourselves and our life. Give me Exodus 23, 1 and 2.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 23, starting at verse 1. Thou shalt not raise a false report. Put not thine hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness. Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment.
All praises, and this right on time. So Sister Wendy says, so what would the further discussion of something that was already brought out and proven about someone be considered? Gossip? So it's like, let's just say it's common knowledge, something that's common knowledge to the masses. Everybody knows it, right? And someone brings it up in passing, and he's like, yeah, I heard about that. And that's where it should stay at. It shouldn't be a long, drawn-out conversation about this person and their life and what they got going on, because now it's turning into gossip. But something that's just common knowledge or common information, I mean, we see stuff like that may just come on your social media or a news article, whatever the case may be. And of course, you may say, man, you saw what happened? And with so-and-so, it's just like anything that happens, like a mass shooting or whatever it may be. You're going to talk about it, but it's a difference in talking about something and actually gossiping about it. So looking at Exodus 23, verses 1 and 2, we see another law from the Most High that says, thou shalt not raise a false report, slander. Put not thine hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness. Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment. And you got a lot of times that people hear things and they say, well, they said, she said that so-and-so did. That's gossip. That's slander. If it's not something that's confirmed, that's exactly what you're doing. You're slandering and you're carrying on a false witness because you don't know if it's even true or not. But the whole point and the whole aspect is our energy shouldn't be going so much into other people's lives that we're so concerned with what other people got going on. We should be focused on our lives and focusing on building the kingdom and also building our brothers and sisters up, not talking about them. And Ak, if you want to add something, you can.
Con. Yeah, and that's just like a few things. James chapter 3 verse 6. It says, in the tongue, I start at 5. It says, even so the tongue is a little member and boasts of great things. Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindleth. And the tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. So is the tongue among our members, that it defileth the whole body, and setteth on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire of hell. And this is an important saying from the brother James, or the apostle James, because you can sin, you can sin with your body in so many ways, but with the tongue, um, again, a plethora of ways. And that's why it says a world of iniquity. Because when you look at that word, the word for world right there is the Greek word cosmos, which is in reference to a collection or an aggregate. So it's like a whole world of its own. Like you can get into so many, you know, you can get into trouble so many ways just from the tongue, by gossip and slander, by false witness, by blasphemies, so on and so forth. And so it's very important to watch, the things that we say and the things that we speak, because as the title it says, a lot of times what we say is, those matters are more important than what we might think. And even thinking about like even slander amongst, or hearing things about people that you actually know. And I see a few scriptures in the chat. Sirach chapter 19 verse, I'll start at 14. It's in the GNT. It says, if you hear that a neighbor has said something he shouldn't, ask him about it. Maybe he didn't say it. If he did, he won't say it again. So it's two routes you could go, because people, they start, and like even the example that the brother gave earlier with a telephone, sometimes think like something might just not even be true to begin with. And so somebody might have some type of vendetta, or they're just spreading, false information, or whatever the case is. And now you go along and believe in it, and you go and repeat it, versus, especially if you have a relationship with the person, you can just go and ask the person about it. And then guess what? If the person actually did that or said that, then you could actually admonish them. If you're in the proper place, obviously, everything like that, not in the spirit of hypocrisy or anything like that. But you could actually admonish them, as we read in the law earlier, and you could even save that person, quote unquote. Next verse, it says, if you hear something bad about a friend, ask him about it. It might be a lie. Don't believe everything you hear. That's Iraq 19, 14 through 15 in the GNT. As plain as day, this is how you're supposed to handle those matters. And that, again, that's a matter of slander. Like if you hear slander about somebody, um, you can just be direct and have that conversation with them. You can say, well, yo, like, there's, a rumor going on about you, and, I don't know these things to be true. I know you as a person. Did you actually do those things, brother? Like, and it doesn't have to be scandalous. You don't have to be Vlad TV. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be all of that. You could just be sincere and be a brother or be a sister, and you can go about it that way, and not further, the slander or the gossiping, the rumors going on about this particular person, but you can be part of turning things for the right course. But but I yield right there.
Khan, all praises. And you could go ahead and grab Proverbs 18:8. Peculiar Apparel placed it in the chat, and that was actually the next scripture I was going to.
See
All
that?
praises.
God. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 18 and verse 8. The words of a talebearer are as wounds, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly.
Khan. The words of a talebearer are as wounds, and just like we discussed earlier, the saying is, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." That's a lie. They taught us that as children, and it was a lie. Words hurt people. they really hurt people. It can cause a lot of harm mentally to people going forward in their life. As you know, going into adulthood, people still can be plagued with trauma from their childhood because of things that were said about them or to them. Ak, you can grab the other scriptures that I placed in the chat also.
Con, it's the book of Sirach, chapter 11, beginning at verse 9. Hey, I mean, matter of fact, I think we should start at 7 because it's like some points in 7. It says, "Blame not before thou hast examined the truth. Understand first, and then rebuke. Answer not before thou hast heard the cause. Neither interrupt men in the midst of their talk. Strive not in a matter that concerneth thee not, and sit not in judgment with sinners. My son, meddle not with many matters, for if thou meddle much, thou shalt not escape, shalt not be innocent. Excuse me. And if thou follow after, thou shalt not obtain, neither shalt thou escape by fleeing."
God, all praise to the Most High. My son, meddle not with many matters. Like we were speaking on earlier, we shouldn't even be trying to just always talk about the current events. Hey man, you heard what happened with so and so? Life should be so, you should be so focused on the kingdom and focus on your family, your children. I don't care what everybody else got going on, man. Who cares? Bro, I got other things I'm focused on. I got too much time to be focused on what I need to focus on. I ain't got 24 hours in a day ain't enough time for me to get the things done that I want to do for the Most High and the things that I want to do for my family. That should be the attitude. That should be where our energy is at. And Ak, if you want to touch on this passage, you can also.
Nah, nah, that's 100%. As you mentioned, I'm in 100% agreement with you. And reason I even mentioned verse 7 is because a lot of people, and I've like literally heard people give or have neglect for like correct evidence or correct information or accurate information, and so they'll be like, "Nah, man, forget what he actually said. He just looked like X, Y, and Z." But Sirach is already telling us, and it's not like this is the commandments, but this particular brother that wrote Sirach, he was skilled in the law, and he understood that these things you can find in the law anyways. So when he said, "Blame not before thou hast examined the truth, understand first, then rebuke," this is a level of scrutiny that we're supposed to apply to each situation. That again, you're sitting in quote unquote judgment under, and not everybody is to be the judge of every situation anyways. That's why you get to the point of 7 or verse 10. Like, not everybody is just to be like a judge in every single matter, and that's again a whole nother point, because a lot of people, they make themselves judges in things that have nothing to do with them. But if you are one of those people that are supposed to be examining a situation, and part of it, you're supposed to actually examine what the truth is and understand it. People that aren't even supposed to be judges, they don't even examine what the truth is. They don't even understand it. They just go and rebuke. Then continuing on, they again, they're continuing to respond to situations, interrupting people. Like, even the people that come to get like the direct horse's mouth, so to speak, they'll come and speak about the situation. They'll give their reasoning, and they don't really have to, but they'll be gracious enough to come give their reasoning, whatever the case is. And they just jumping in before they hear everything, and they're not trying to be reasonable and actually hear what's going on. But like, what the wisdom of the scriptures tell you is you're not supposed to do such things. Matter of fact, you're not supposed to delight, in unfortunates, quote unquote, of our people. You see that in First Corinthians, you see that in Proverbs, different places. You see that principle taught. But I yield right there.
Khan, all praise to the Most High. Let's get, and like Sis said, that's right. The tongue is a sword. It definitely is. It
Hmm.
can cut. It can cut. It can cut in a good way, cut in a bad way. Psalm 101 and 5.
Yeah, that's a good point.
This world has trained us on gossip and not growing in the ways Yahweh wants us to. This is why some of our lives are boring, right? People see, entertainment of others' lives as the way to not be bored. To not be bored. This is what entertains people. This is what people love to see and talk about, run about, and be busybodies in other people's matters. Go ahead, Doc.
Con. It's the book of Psalm, chapter 101 and verse 5. Whoso privily slandereth his neighbor, him will I cut off. Him that hath an high look and a proud heart will not I suffer.
Con. So even if someone's doing it in private, slandering someone in private, it's actually not private. The Most High sees it. He knows what's going on, and He says He will cut us off if we're doing this. And Him cutting us off is just as good as killing us, because we as good as dead if the Most High ain't dealing with us while we here. We just as good as being dead. Give me Luke 6:31.
Con. It's the book of Luke, chapter 6, verse 31. And as ye would that men should do to you, do ye also to them likewise.
Right. You don't want for, let's just say, something happens in your own life, and there's a truth, but there's also people running with what they heard, and what they heard ain't actually the truth. That ain't really the real story. But you can't stop them from going and talebearing and gossiping and slandering you to other people. So just as we don't want somebody to do that to us, we should do likewise. We should not do the same thing with our brothers and sisters. If something comes up and someone's in a scandal or something like that, and somebody comes to you, man, you heard what someone's, hey man, I don't want to hear it, bro. Do you know that for sure? You don't even know if it's true. You shouldn't even be coming to me telling me that. Go talk to the brother. Go talk to the sister. Maybe they need somebody to talk to. I got one more scripture. Philippians 4 and 8.
Mm. That's one of my favorite scriptures.
God, all praises.
God, it's the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things.
Right. This sums it up. If we go by this guideline, we'll never be caught in gossip and slander. We'll never be doing that with nobody, because we're making sure, man, what am I thinking about? What things are I actually, what things am I actually entertaining? What things get my attention? What things do I give energy to on an everyday single day basis? Am I going around being a talebearer and calling my best friend, who's my best friend because it's my gossip friend? It's the same person I call every evening and talk about everything I see on social media. It's the same person I call because I want to talk about my next door neighbor that has 3 different men come by the house all throughout the week. We got to make sure that whatever the things are that we're speaking about, or we're minding that these things are true, they're honest, they're just, they're pure, they're lovely, and they have a good report. We're supposed to think on those things. So all praise, honor, glory to the Most High. Ak, if you got anything you want to add, you can.
All praises to the Most High. Yeah, now this was a beautiful lesson, man. That definitely in line with a lot of conversations, I've had offline, and within the personal life and things like that. And I see Peculiar Apparel put in a scripture. I'm pretty sure that's Brother Dewad Proverbs 24:17. I'll read it. It says, Rejoice not when thine enemy falleth, and let not thine heart be glad when he stumbleth, lest the Lord see it and it displease him, and he turn away his wrath from him. Yeah. And that's an excellent scripture because when I was speaking on Sirach 11 earlier, I made a similar point to this here, and I definitely had this sentiment in mind. So definitely the water for placing that scripture in, and that also goes with the last comment, because when you look at this is true in a lot of cases. You know, they're just glad other people's secrets are revealed and not their own. But you know, as you read a constant wisdom throughout the scriptures, you know, you should do it. Like, I think we just read that sentiment in Luke. You know, you should do unto others and treat others the same way you would want to be treated. You know, because it easily can be you in a situation. You should never get to a place of, you know, you're laughing at the calamity of anybody, or you know, just like how the scripture said, rejoicing when somebody falls or, you know, experiences any type of disaster, because it could easily be you in the situation next, and you will want mercy. You will want, oh man, you know, this ain't no laughing matter. I want to keep it down low and blah blah blah. You know, you're gonna want people to pray for you. You're gonna want grace. You know, you're not gonna want people to do you how, you know, you're doing them. You know, so, you know, excellent wisdom's an excellent lesson. You know, all praises to the Most High. Definitely a powerful topic, and one that you know, should be, you know, replayed, spent again, and sent out to people. You know, definitely a powerful lesson, King. But all praises to the Most High.
Khan, all praise to the most high. The water for the reading. Everyone in the chat, thank you for the shares, the likes, and also the comments. And if you haven't shared the lesson, please make sure you do so as we end it. And if you're watching this on the replay, we ask you like, share, comment. Also, your comments, your shares, your likes, it helps trigger the algorithm so that other people can see the content. So all praise, honor, glory to the Most High, whose name is Yahweh, when we do so by Shem HaMashiach Yahweh Shai. If y'all got any other comments or any questions, you can place them in the chat before we close out. And I'll give it a second, and I'll play this commercial.
Shalom, family. One of the most important things is for us to be holy. Now, what does that mean? That means we have to separate ourselves from the world and build unity and community. Grab yourself a shirt that expresses that message, and let's not just talk about it, let's live it.
All praise to the Most High. I don't have anything else. You can take us up out of here.
God, all praise to the Most High. We'll close it out with a number 6 and 24 on down. Yahweh bless thee and keep thee. Yahweh make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. With that, I'll say peace and shalom.
Shalom, family.
If it ain't in Yahweh, then it definitely ain't in mine. If it ain't in Yahweh, then it definitely ain't in mine. Can't let your feelings dictate the action. Our human nature have us prone to get easily distracted. Your attempt is only as good as what you practice. If you a practitioner, sin, homie, you a bastard. It take obedience and faith to be a child of God. Confess with your mouth and not with works, that's what we call a fraud. Get on the narrow path, cause destruction is on the broad. Even then, watch for the hook, gotta keep up your guard. How you be quoting the Lord's prayer but don't submit to God? How you think you gon' get the kingdom if you don't play your part? How you gon' comprehend the light while living in the dark? How you gon' choose what's wrong or right if you don't study his law? If it ain't in God's will for me, we don't want it in mind. His laws and ways constantly be on my mind. Definitely ain't.